Once you have taken time to get more familiar with Excel objects and all the objects that are available to you, the next thing that you're probably going to be hearing about are collection objects. Now, I'm just going to recap what we've covered in the previous videos. We've talked about workbook objects, sheet objects, and I briefly mentioned chart objects, range objects, and other objects that you've probably have worked with in the past in Microsoft Excel. The next thing that we're going to bring it to is collection objects. Now again, it's very simple, not difficult at all. I'm going to go to my Visual Basic tab. The one that I'm going to talk about is the sheet object for right now. On my workbook, you see that I have 3 worksheets. All a collection is just, it's a setup that enables you to work with objects as a group rather than working with an object as a single object. And let me show you an example. If I also type in sheets and do an open parentheses, you'll see that I have an index number for this object. So I can choose sheet 1, and I'm just going to put .name, and I'll do a message box. Hit F5, and we'll see that the name of sheet 1 is sheet 1. Now if I was to drag sheet 3 over to the beginning, that's going to be our first worksheet. Now if I was to hit F5, we're going to see that it's sheet 3. If I was to rename sheet 3 to home, we'll see that the name of the first sheet is home. So what we're doing here is looking at the collections object. In this case, the object we're looking at is the sheets, and we're looking at index number 1. If I also type in number 2, we're going to get sheet 1. You can apply the same principle to the workbook object. Right now I only have one workbook open, but if I was to open up a brand new workbook, and I'm going to click blank workbook, I now have book 2 and I have book 1. Going back to my Visual Basic environment though, if I was to do message box, workbooks, do open parentheses, we can now put in an index. So what we're modifying here, what we're looking at, is the collection objects of the workbook object. If I also put 1, and I'll put, I believe name is 1. Yeah, we can do name, and hit F5, we're going to get book 1. But if I was looking at the second item in the collection and hit F5, that's going to be book 2. And I don't have a third one, but just to show you how you can get an error, if I was to put in a 3 here and hit F5, we're going to get subscript out of range. That's because the third index is not an available object in the workbook collection. And again, you can apply this to every single object that is out there. Since I got an error, I'm going to just hit the stop button, hit reset. But there are several objects that you're going to work with when you're doing VBA programming. And all a collection is, whenever you see that, it's just a collection of the same object type. In this case, workbooks is the object type that we worked with right now, and we're modifying the index number in that collection. We also worked with the sheets object type. If we were working with range, then that would be if we were working with ranges, then that would be the object type that we were modifying. If we were working with a chart and several charts that were in our workbook, then those are the object types that we're going to be modifying, the collection of the same object type.